Welcome to Voice of Africa, where we celebrate the unstoppable rise of our continent. Today, we're diving into a story of innovation, self-reliance, and African excellence, right from the heart of Burkina Faso. This is not just another development story. It is a testament to what happens when African ingenuity meets bold leadership and unwavering determination. For far too long, African farmers have struggled under the weight of expensive, imported machinery that often breaks down, lacks spare parts, and drains our nation's foreign reserves. These machines, designed for foreign conditions, often fail to meet the specific needs of African agricultural landscapes. But under the visionary leadership of President Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso is rewriting this narrative in bold letters. What we're witnessing isn't just industrial progress. It's a revolution in African self-determination. This remarkable machine represents far more than agricultural equipment. It's a symbol of what happens when African ingenuity meets political will. Designed and built entirely locally by Sigwid Numa, meaning good work in Mooré, this multi-purpose grinder and crusher is transforming Burkina Faso's agricultural landscape while sending ripples across the continent. The significance of this achievement becomes clear when we consider the challenges African farmers typically face. Traditionally, processing grains required either backbreaking manual labor or reliance on expensive imported machines that were never quite suited to our local conditions. The high cost of these machines made them inaccessible to smallholder farmers, leaving them reliant on outdated, inefficient methods that kept them in a cycle of poverty and low productivity. Furthermore, the maintenance of these imported machines has been a costly nightmare. Spare parts are often unavailable or prohibitively expensive, and many African farmers lack the technical know-how to repair these foreign-made devices. In short, these machines were not just expensive, they were unsustainable. The POA-Corgo changes everything. It's affordable, durable, and specifically designed for African farming realities. Its development was driven by an understanding of what our farmers truly need. Before, we wasted so much time and money trying to maintain foreign machines that kept breaking down. Now, with this local solution made by our own people, we've doubled our output while cutting costs. This is what progress feels like, says one local farmer, beaming with pride. What makes this innovation truly revolutionary are three key breakthroughs: affordability by eliminating import costs and foreign currency expenditures, making these machines accessible to even small-scale farmers; job creation, from the engineers designing them to the factory workers assembling them, fueling employment at every level; and food sovereignty, with Burkina Faso taking control of its agricultural destiny, ensuring that food production is not at the mercy of foreign economies. The story behind this success reveals even more about Burkina Faso's transformation. This wasn't simply about building a machine, it was about building an entire ecosystem of innovation. At the heart of this achievement lies an extraordinary partnership between visionary leadership, local engineering talent, and cutting-edge research. President Traoré's role in this cannot be overstated. His unwavering commitment to industrialization and self-sufficiency created the environment where such innovation could flourish. But equally crucial were the engineers at Sigwid Numa, who refused to accept that Africa couldn't produce world-class machinery. Their persistence and skill turned what many would call impossible into reality. We designed every component with African conditions in mind: rust-resistant materials for our climate, energy-efficient motors for areas with unstable electricity, and simple maintenance requirements for rural areas. These aren't just machines, they're solutions tailored to our people's needs, explains one of the lead engineers. Supporting this entire operation is IRAT, Institute of Research in Applied Sciences and Technology, Burkina Faso's premier research institution. Their scientists worked tirelessly to optimize the machine's performance, conducting rigorous testing and implementing continuous improvements. This collaboration between government, private enterprise, and academia, represents a model for African development that other nations would do well to emulate. At this point, I want to take a moment to deeply thank all of our subscribers and members who make it possible for us to share these incredible stories of African excellence. Your support fuels this platform, allowing us to continue showcasing the powerful transformations happening across our continent. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing, joining as a member, and hitting that notification bell so you never miss a story like this. Together, we are shaping the narrative of Africa's rise. The implications of this success extend far beyond Burkina Faso's borders. Neighboring countries facing similar agricultural challenges, Mali, Niger, Ghana, and beyond, are already taking notice. The potential for regional expansion hints at something extraordinary: the birth of a West African industrial hub for agricultural machinery. This is what true economic sovereignty looks like, not waiting for foreign solutions, but creating our own and sharing them across the continent. President Traoré captured this spirit perfectly in a recent speech to the nation. The one who waits for others to feed him will never be full. Burkina Faso will no longer wait. We are building our own future with our own hands. The economic ripple effects are already visible. Local metal workers now have steady employment producing machine components. Farmers' cooperatives report higher profits due to reduced processing costs. Technical schools are adapting their curricula to train the next generation of industrial engineers. This is how true sustainable development happens, not through handouts, but through homegrown solutions that create virtuous cycles of prosperity. But perhaps most inspiring is the psychological impact. For decades, Africans have been conditioned to believe we couldn't compete in manufacturing and high-tech industries. The POA-Corgo machine shatters that myth completely. It proves that with the right leadership, investment, and belief in ourselves, Africa can not only meet but exceed global standards in industrial innovation. When I see what our country has achieved, I know I don't need to go abroad to work on cutting-edge technology, says one young engineering student. The future is right here. This sentiment echoes across Burkina Faso's burgeoning industrial sector. The success of the POA-Corgo has inspired other local manufacturers to pursue ambitious projects, from irrigation systems to renewable energy solutions. A new culture of innovation is taking root, nurtured by the knowledge that homegrown solutions can indeed solve Africa's most pressing challenges. The road ahead remains challenging, of course. Scaling up production to meet national and regional demand will require continued investment. Maintaining quality standards as output increases will test Burkina Faso's young industrial sector, and competing against entrenched foreign manufacturers with greater resources won't be easy. But the foundation has been laid, not just for better machines, but for a fundamentally new approach to African development. One where solutions emerge from African soil to solve African problems, where technology serves the people rather than exploits them, where progress is measured not by foreign approval, but by tangible improvements in people's lives. An elderly woman, her hands worn from decades of manual grain processing, watches with tears in her eyes as the POA-Corgo hums to life. In all my years, I never thought I'd see the day when our own people would make something like this, she says. That moment captures the true meaning of this achievement better than any statistic ever could. As the sun sets over Burkina Faso's industrial parks and farmlands alike, one thing becomes clear. This is just the beginning. The POA-Corgo represents the first fruits of a much larger harvest, one where Africa feeds itself, builds for itself, and determines its own destiny. This is the Voice of Africa signing off, but the conversation continues. Share your thoughts in the comments below about how your country is pursuing self-reliance. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because the African Renaissance will be televised.